About 10 minutes early. I've been running around like crazy today. Just got home, drove about 4 hours today. So I just got at the door, but I was like, it's close enough to 7. I kind of just feel like getting this thing going, getting it kind of underway. So we're back. It's been a couple weeks. The last one we did was talking about Even, which was me releasing music on Even, doing those things on that platform and recommending that to you. So if you didn't check out that one, definitely go check that out. I've been overcoming a cold the last couple weeks, so my voice might sound a little bit weird today, and I feel like I'm on the tail end of recovering from that at this point. But as you can see, I'm still trying to clear my throat and things like that. So if I do that during this video, I apologize in advance, but that is why. But like I said, I feel like I'm getting over it, kind of getting healthy. But it is that time of year, late October, going into the winter time soon, and I'm in Ohio, so there's a lot of bad weather and cold weather coming up, so it's just kind of something I got to deal with, but we push through, we prevail. So we're here, it's October 15th, 2024, and today's topic is something that I thought was a cool topic to discuss, something that a lot of artists will probably relate to. And I know I relate to it as a producer, even when it comes to naming like beats on BeatStars or doing my own self-release music as well. And that is project name brainstorming, coming up with ideas for the titles of your songs and your albums. I called it project name brainstorming because initially I thought of it just for albums and EPs and things like that. But then I thought, this could apply to song titles, and a lot of what people try to come up with, especially in, their music on the month to month when they're dropping singles, is, individual songs. Excuse me. See, again, this is gonna happen a lot for this stream, but I'm trying my best here. But anyway, I came up with this idea probably around the time when I was planning out the initial Twitch streams, and what was I gonna talk about. And this was one that I thought would kind of benefit everybody, because we all kind of struggle with that from time to time. If you have a really cool song idea, you might not always have the perfect title for it, even if it has a certain type of topic. So I came up with a few different ideas and just a few different ways from, researching other people, researching on the internet as well, just to kind of, get the wheels turning, some things you can use, some tools, some links I'll provide at the end, and that'll be in the description of the video. So let's get right into it. The first big idea that I had is something that I know a lot of people use, even outside of music, just creatively in general, and that is mood boards. Creating a mood board of images, just notes, things of that nature, to kind of pull from, to get those ideas and the wheels turning. So the definition of mood board is a mood board, also called inspiration board. I knew I could read today. Also called an inspiration board, are a curated collection of inspirational ideas called from the internet, magazines, blogs, art books, etc., used to flesh out one's ideas from the beginning of a project. It's a combination of various looks, feels, and textures that can help you organize your thoughts and spark creativity. You can create mood boards within online tools such as Canva, Pinterest, Photoshop, and more. Feel free to Google specific types of mood boards for inspiration. A big one I've heard of is Pinterest to use for those mood boards, because from what I've heard, I don't go on Pinterest at all. From what I've heard, though, it's a lot of that type of thing. People compiling a lot of different images and things together to kind of create one seamless feeling, mood board, or just board that you get ideas from. And I think textures is interesting too, because, we don't always think about textures or things like that when you're thinking about song titles. But it's like, what could you pull from that, from just even being able to feel something, or look at how something would feel, like grains of sand or something like that, or maybe something that's coarse versus something that's smooth, that we can kind of match those types of things with the songs and how they feel. And I've always viewed that as in with colors as well. And a lot of people say that they're able to combine the visual with the audio aspect as far as colors go. I've never really done this. I know a lot of people that make beats specifically. They can kind of match things together, or maybe they have, their sound selection is based on color. So certain colors will fall in the cool category, like the purples and the blues. Other sounds, they might be a little more harsh or dramatic. Maybe those are the warm colors, like the reds and oranges, things like that. And I think it's the same with the way you hear the sounds back in the final version of a song or a project, where, if you're dealing with more smooth type of music, there's a good chance that you're going to want to go for something that's a little bit cool or a little bit more smooth to match the vibe of that. And I think that's definitely just something that we could overlook, but it's like, how do you match that with the song title or the album title, whatever it's going to be. And obviously Canva, we mentioned a few weeks ago now at this point, when we talked about the resources that you can use to create social media content. So I'm not really sure if Canva has like templates already for mood boards. I've never really dug into that. But what they're implying with this is that you can use Canva like you would to create an Instagram post. You could use it to create a mood board. So I think you could probably just do any type of size mood board you want, and you could, drag and drop a bunch of different things in and create it. And what's cool about Canva that I've been experimenting with recently is the way you can export files to be able to print them. So what I would suggest is, if you're going to print your mood board out of Canva, you create the whole thing, you export it in PDF for print, and I'd probably do CMYK for the colors, and I'd export it full size, and I'd just put it on your wall or put it wherever you want, so that way you can look at it like in person, as opposed to just always looking at it on the screen. Like, whatever you feel is best, that's what you should do. And however you absorb that information that you have on the mood board, that's what you should do. But I'm just saying, like, it honestly would help a lot of people, I think, or just would help you if that's how you learn, to be able to have it in person. Kind of like how you have a whiteboard and you write ideas. That's what you could do for that. And then, if I had a mood board, I would probably write the ideas or the feelings down from what I'm seeing from that, and then maybe narrow it down, like match it up with whatever song you're trying to name, and just be like, what words did I write down to fit the vibe of this song, and then kind of just narrow it down from there. And it also says Photoshop, which I don't have experience in Photoshop, but it's the same exact thing as Canva. You could just design it in there, and I'm sure you could probably do something a lot more intricate in Photoshop too. So if you know, like Adobe, I forget, Acrobat is one of them. There's a few other programs that Adobe has specifically. Trying to get a hold of myself, guys. A few other ones that Adobe has specifically, and there's a lot of different other ones that you can make mood boards on too. But those are just the examples. But yeah, that's mood boards. I've never done it. Maybe one day. I think when I think of mood boards, I think of, when people are making like TV shows or theme park rides, they make a board with everybody's ideas on it, and you could do the same thing with this and just trying to name the project or the song or whatever you're trying to do. So yeah, I think that one's pretty unique and helpful. And it's the first one that came to mind because I had heard a lot of people that have done that. It's been very, very helpful. The next one is the next one is to write down ideas and daily inspiration, which is kind of a combination of some things I already mentioned. It says, write down ideas as they come to you on paper, whiteboard, or digitally via your phone or desktop. Many famous songwriters for past decades carried notebooks with them everywhere they went. If possible, have a recording app or a recording device with you to sing ideas into. Alternatively, if you know how to write music, keep manuscript paper handy. The writing down ideas, I feel like I mentioned this a few weeks ago probably, but how important is that to write everything down that you feel you're gonna, apply, or things that you need to get done. So if you have like a flash of inspiration, writing that down immediately is probably the best thing you could do, because you know you won't forget it. And even if you forget where the inspiration came from, you can come back to it later and see that word or that phrase and be like, what was I thinking with that? And then there's potential that you'll re-jog your memory and maybe, get it back, or maybe you'll see that same word or phrase and think of it in a totally different light and be like, no, let me take it this way. Like, I know I initially thought about it this way. Let me take it this whole other path. So that's a pretty obvious one. And like it says, whatever you want to do, if you want to write it down on paper, I'm always someone that goes in the notes app on my phone. That's where I write things down. Sometimes on a whiteboard. I'm not really a pen and paper person. I don't really carry paper with me too much, to be honest. But if that helps you, because I know that helps a lot of people, being able to see it on paper in front of them, by all means, do what you got to do. And then obviously, writing down lyrics, things like that. And I've had so many people on the podcast, songwriters who utilize voice memos in their iPhone. I'm pretty sure Android at this point would have something similar. You just record the line or the phrase or even part of the whole song into the notes or in the voice memo, and then you can play it back. The way things work now, you can even export voice memos and drag them into your DAW, and if you have access to it, or send it to your engineer, whatever you want to do, and just be like, hey, how does this fit with this song? Can we change maybe some of the structure of the song to kind of fit with the melodies I was making here? Or even if you're just humming random things, you can go back in then later and fill that in with lyrics. And I honestly feel like, and I'm not a songwriter, I can't write for anything. I can't write songs, I can't rap or sing. That's why I make beats, okay? But I feel like a combination of those two would be the ultimate cheat code, because you can really combine, writing it down, and then when you write it down, maybe you record a little bit of it into the voice memos, and then you kind of combine the ideas to work through the full thing later on. And that would ultimately, I think that would ultimately lead you to coming up with a better name for the song or for the project or whatever it's going to be. So yeah, recording apps, writing it down, and then manuscript paper. I'm not really seeing the difference between manuscript paper and normal paper personally. Maybe there's some type of difference there. If anybody knows, if you're watching the YouTube replay of this, what is manuscript paper? I don't really know what that means, but I assume that's just, keep writing it down. If you have a journal, maybe you have a separate journal just for these ideas. Maybe that's something you want to think about, because a lot of people journal, personally. Or maybe you want a book of ideas. A lot of, like they said, a lot of famous songwriters, people have done that throughout time. Or, maybe you're at a restaurant, you have a napkin, just get the pen from the waiter and just write it on a napkin or something. How many famous songs or famous quotes have been just written on random pieces of material. So it's not really about what the material is, it's just getting that idea written down, so it's not just a fleeting thing, because if it's written down, you can utilize it later, you can expand on it later. And that's what I think they're trying to say mostly with that whole section there, is just make sure you write things down. I swear, I'm trying, guys. And the third and final one that I found that I think a lot of people are using at this point is using online AI tools for assistance. And obviously, there's a ton of debate on AI and creativity and art and things like that. But like I mentioned a few weeks back, utilizing the tools for good, using them to help the creative process, not take over the creative process, using them to just assist you in the creative process and make things a little easier to, get your ideas out there. This is what I'm talking about with this. So it says sites like Clipmove, Nameify, Quilt AI, and more can be used to help generate album and song title ideas. Similar to other AI generators like DALL-E, these tools can be used by inserting a distinct prompt to create one or several different titles that you can then adjust or change to your liking. Some of these sites are paid, while others are free. Others have free trials for you to test. So I have experience with DALL-E because I've used DALL-E 2 and DALL-E 3 for artwork ideas. And yeah, I mean, if you know AI generators at this point, that's pretty much what it is. You type in a prompt, try to get as specific as you can, and you'll have a better result. And I'd say, follow that same rule for this. If you're trying to get something super unique, super niche, or just creative in general, you're going to want to put in a prompt that actually is going to get you there. Like, let's just say you're trying to make a song about, like, hamburgers. If you just type in the word hamburger, it's going to give you something super generic. But if you type in, like, all the ingredients of the hamburger and, like, what the sauce tasted like and the texture of the bun, and you get super specific, then it's probably going to give you something, like, super cool in return. So it's just all about how you use those tools to do that. And I don't have experience with any of these ones because I've not tried this out yet. But I figured it was worth mentioning because the AI stuff is super prevalent now, and it's only going to keep evolving and keep being more prevalent. But the three I named, Clip, Move, Nameify, Quilt AI, those are, from what I could tell, the most popular ones as far as generating like title ideas. So definitely, feel free to check those out. And before we get out of here, because I know this is fairly short compared to some of the ones we've done recently, but I'm going to leave all the links here in the description of the YouTube replay. But I'll go through the links here just to see what we got. So the first one is all these sites. It's crazy. The first article that I'll leave you guys is by Success Music Studio, and it's called Brainstorming Your Song Titles. It has a lot of what I mentioned in the beginning, but they kind of expand upon it. They give you tools for brainstorming song titles, selecting the keepers. So basically, like, if you have multiple titles that you think are good, it gives you a way to kind of narrow things down to be able to say, out of the three, this one is definitely the one. So it gives you kind of like a way to do that. And there's some more tools in there. It's a 2021 article, so it's not super outdated. And this whole idea in general is not really going to ever be outdated because we're always trying to come up with these names. We're always trying to get more creative with how we're naming our songs and our albums. So that one is the first one. Next up is on Bandzoogle blog that I believe I have used on a previous stream. But this article was called 5 Ways a Mood Board Can Come in Handy When Writing Songs. And this expands upon what we talked about with mood boards. And they just kind of break down more of what I gave you like a really brief description of it, but they give you more steps on how to utilize it specifically as a musician, because you could, like I said, you could use mood boards for anything, but if you're using it for this specific reason, they dive more into, how you can do that. And it's basically just expanding upon what I gave you guys at the beginning of that whole section. So, and then I put the links for those 3 generators, Clip, Move, Nameify, Quilt AI, and you're just gonna have to go in and see about those. I'm not sure which ones are paid and which ones are free. I assume the majority of these AI generators have some type of free version where you can at least trial it, like test it out and see how it works. So, what I would do is probably try all 3 and see which one you feel good about. And if you don't feel good about any of these, by all means, research more. Look, what I did was just Google how is AI being utilized for song and album title generation. And I found these as the top 3, but like I said, there's probably a lot more, and there's probably gonna be a lot more too. So, check them out, check these out, see if you like these. If not, hopefully you find one that you do, and I don't know if I'll be using these a ton, but I figured, like I said, it was worth mentioning because this type of stuff is not going away. It's just going to keep evolving and expanding. And even if these 3 don't last forever, I'm sure there's going to be one that sticks with people, and to see how that, is used in the future, it's going to be crazy. So I know there's a lot more with the AI stuff that's coming, even beyond that. But that's pretty much it. I mean, we've been on for 20 minutes. Yeah, I knew this one wasn't going to be super long, but I think it's cool to talk about because it's not something we always think about. And sometimes, we don't even need to think about this all the time because sometimes things just come to us and we're like, oh, that was easy. I came up with that title in a minute. But this is more for like when you're stuck, you know what I mean? When you can't really get to the bottom of what am I going to call this thing that I love so much? What am I going to call this song that I'm such a fan of, but I want to put it out, but I don't know what to call it. So it's like a simple thing, but it's something we can struggle with from time to time. So hopefully if you watch this video, watch the YouTube replay, you'll see that and be like, oh, that's me. I struggle with that sometimes. So hopefully this does something for you. And like I said, all these links, so let's see, there's 5 links total will be in the description of the YouTube replay. So be on the lookout for those. But next week we'll be back again. So like I said, we took last week off. So we're going to be consistently going for probably till the end of the year. Every Tuesday we're going to keep this going. And I hopefully won't be as sick next week. We'll see. But next week, October 22nd, the topic is going to be social anxiety. And this is one that I have been waiting to talk about for a long time. I actually had a discussion with my buddy Dre AM, who is a rapper from Queens. We just dropped a new song called New Plane, by the way. Go check that out. But we actually had a discussion like a couple months ago, and he was like telling me about his social anxiety. And I told him I was going to be discussing this topic because I have social anxiety as well. But I'm looking forward to doing the research on that and, seeing like what I can find about it, because I think it's going to be a very in-depth conversation. So you're definitely going to want to check that out if that's something that piques you. And it's going to be social anxiety specifically for music makers too. That's the big thing. So yeah, I can't wait to get my experience and hopefully get some experience from some other individuals as well. So that's what you can be on the lookout for next Tuesday, October 22nd. But like I said, if you find this one in the replay, hopefully it did something for you, and hopefully it helps you get more ideas to make better song and project titles. So yeah, this was a fairly short one, but glad to be back. The week off helped a little, but hopefully this next week I'm more recovered and I won't be coughing all the time. But until then, I thank you guys as always for checking it out, and I hope you have a great week as well, and we'll see you on the 22nd. Peace. Get on out of here.